Okay, let's get started. Delivering Office 365 as an evergreen service, what to do and what, more importantly, not to do. A lot of buzzwords in a title, that's how I got here. So let's see if I can live up to the expectations. Just to set the scene a little bit, I'm a technical guy, right? I help customers implement solutions, move to the cloud, do security architectures and so forth and so on. So why am I talking to you about how to deliver Office 365 to your organization or your customers as an evergreen service? It's because it's a reality that hit me in the face a long time ago, because traditionally, you plan, you deploy, you move away. But while you're planning, the level playing field is changing. There's new features coming in halfway through your planning, which may be very disruptive to what you're doing. So how do you go about and how do you work with that, right? So let's establish first of all, what evergreen means, right? Something that remains perennially fresh. Office 365 is one of those things. If you've been paying somewhat of attention this week, there's probably this list of changes that they have announced, some of which have rolled out, some of which will be rolling out in the next couple of weeks, and some of which will be coming out later down this year. I think it was 2017, there were 2,000 odd something changes. Some of them very small, some of them very large, right? Which means that it is a very fast-moving train that you are getting on board on, right? Which means that you have to figure out how to deal with it and how to cope with that change in your environment, right? So let's quickly look at some of the challenges that you will be facing with. As I mentioned, right, it's going so fast. A lot of organizations that have been around for a long time, and even the ones that are pretty new, are not used to cope with that level of change coming into the environment that fast. The systems that you have, the mindset that you have, the users that you have to work with are faced with a changing landscape. Even more importantly, some of them have features, others don't have the same features, and if that happens within the same team, you get a disconnect. Well, why can you do this and why can't I do that? And the answer is, well, you'll probably also be able to do that in a couple of weeks, maybe tomorrow. And the reality is, you don't know. You don't always know when it is coming to your tenant, right? It might be now or in a couple of weeks. Which brings us to controlling the behavior of new features. A lot of organizations I work with come to me and tell me, hey, Michael, I want to block this, I want to block that, I want to stop doing this, I want to make sure that I can understand how to roll a feature out into my organization before I give it to my users, right? There have been occasions where Microsoft has rolled out certain capabilities on by default, which has come, and caused some disruption in the organization, right? And we'll be talking about that disruption in just a minute. What I want you to think about is, well, is that a bad thing? Is that disruption really that bad of a thing? From an historical perspective, we, IT people, IT as an organization, has always been the ones controlling what we are delivering to our users. But because of that, we, IT, have also caused shadow IT. We are the reason why we're dealing with problems that people are trying to circumvent the policies that we define. Now, I'm not a very popular guy with security people because I usually tell them, you're not there to tell me what I can or cannot do. You're there to enable me to do securely what I want to do, right? But then I turn to IT in general and I'm there, you're not there to tell me what to do. You're there to enable me to do what I want to do. So trying to get rid of the mindset of I want to be in control of what I deploy to my organization is not such a good idea, especially when you're considering the cloud. Now, all of that ties into a lot of other issues, right? How do I control this behemoth and make sure that it is a secure environment, right? Now, one of the things that you have to consider there is that maintaining security and consistency is not hard, it is challenging. Maintaining security is something that Microsoft does for you. I mean, I think we can all be in violent agreement that whatever Microsoft does in the cloud is pretty secure, and it's pretty much going to be a lot more secure than what you do in your on-premises organization. Now, by controlling, disabling, preventing certain features, you're sometimes even poking a hole in the security that Microsoft has envisioned for you. So the question is, by turning off certain things, am I improving or making things worse? Now, I'm not saying that you have to just accept anything that rolls down the hill. By all means, sometimes you have to stop things and tell it, well, no, this ain't gonna fly because it's gonna be too disruptive or it's gonna cause problems. But you have to open up to the fact that things are going to change beyond your control. What you have to figure out is, how are you going to deal with it? How are you gonna set up governance and understand how you as an organization are gonna work with this? And I'll give you an example, right? Change management. We're gonna talk about that in just a minute, but traditionally, you've got DTAP, right? Development, test, acceptance, production. Great. How are you going to do that with a moving target? Microsoft gives us the example of how they do it. We just need to accept that model and try and implement that into our organization. Deployment rings, right? Instead of having an isolated development and test environment where you do things in that little cocoon that has no relationship to your environment, why don't you create user communities in your organization, champions, if you will, that will get early builds of Windows, early builds of Office, early builds, put them on the first release, targeted release, naming, in Office 365. Take a few users from each department, from IT, from HR, marketing, finance, choose those champions, give them access to the early release, let them be the testers of what's coming early on, months ahead of the rest of your organization. By doing so, you get the real-world feedback into your organization, into IT. You can solve problems before they hit the rest of your user population. But more importantly, if there is a very disruptive change that will break business processes, which you cannot solve before it hits your larger user population, you know that you can stop it. Right? Okay, this is one of those changes that I do not want to roll out automatically. This is one of the few changes that I want to stop because I still need to work on my end in order to welcome that into my organization. And that is a really important thing. So it's really changing the mindset from, instead of trying to stop the wave, it's just to go with it. Learn how to surf. Now, I'm a really horrible surfer because over in Europe, we don't get the nice waves and whatever it is. But it is something that you have to try, right? I'll give you an example of a customer I'm working with, focused inbox. Seems like a no-brainer. To me, I'm like, enable it. It has cost me 3 months to convince them, and in the end, they didn't do it, to just go with focused inbox. What could possibly go wrong by enabling such a small feature? And the answer is true, right? Don't make it an opt-in, make it an opt-out. Change the way you do this. Don't say no and then, well, maybe yes. Say yes and then afterwards maybe no. That's one of the ways that you can control that and much easier go with the flow, and you will make your life a lot more interesting, right? Yes, it also means that a lot of changes will happen. And yes, it also presents a challenge to your support organization, because what you will get if you own a support organization in your environment is that people will start calling in on a Monday morning, hey, this feature lit up this morning, or this isn't working, and then the support engineer might be looking in his own Outlook or Word or whatever it is and be like, I don't see this, right? That is a challenge that you will have to work with, but that's what you have to understand, and that's what you will try and have to solve. Now, one of the mantras that I use a lot with my customers to try and get their heads around this paradigm shift is fail fast and fix forward. Things will break. Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong, right? It will happen. Fail fast and then fix the issue moving forward. If you run into a snag with a new feature, a new release, a new capability, don't go back and stop what you were doing. Don't hold back your rollout. Don't try and control this little thing. Just go with the flow and look at, okay, how can I solve this problem moving forward? Right? You failed. It might not have been your issue. It might not have been your doing, but look at how you can move it or fix that problem into the future. Now, you have to do that fast. Fail, fix fast, and then move forward. So you can play around with these words, but that's really what you need to do, right? Which means that you have to be very agile. So that's another buzzword right then and there for you. But the agile approach is really something that works, which means that you go into another buzzword, DevOps kind of things. Your engineering teams are the ones supporting your organization. So sometimes on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, you'll get a call and says, this is broken. You'll have to jump on the call, have to fix the issue, have to think on how to do that, and then move forward as quickly as possible, meaning rolling out the fix. Now, within that same paradigm of the fail fast, fix forward, or fail, fix fast and forward, change management is not your friend, right? Strict change management processes can sometimes take weeks. You might have an urgent change management process for 2 days, like, I want to do something today and I'll get an approval to do it in 2 days. For some issues that you will run into, that won't work, which means that you will have to rethink how you do change management, right? And that is the other issue that you will face, is how to go about proactive change management versus reactive change management. For many years, we've been doing proactive change management, go through, documenting what we want to do, send it to a change advisory board, get the approval, then, maybe inform a bunch of other people, consult another bunch of people, get the approval and go ahead. 3 weeks later, yes, you can click that one button to change that one feature. Great, right? It might have worked in the 1980s, maybe in the 1990s, but it definitely doesn't hold up anymore today. So your organization has to accept the fact that, sometimes we will make a change. And I will promise that I will go back and document the change that we have made in order to move forward fast, because we failed. And that is in itself not an IT issue, it is an organizational issue on how you deal with that change and how you make sure that you can still adhere to those business processes and make sure that you have documented everything, because that too is a big problem. Documentation, even in the cloud, is really important because you might not be around all the time. People working with the solutions, implementing the solutions might not be around all the time, so you need to document what you have configured or how it is configured for your support organization, for your architects, for your organization as a whole to be able to support that, right? So this is why the reactive change management is important. You can't not just not do it and make changes, move on, and forget about it. You have to have some way to go back and understand, well, this triggered something else, and as a result of that, I'm now faced with document changes I need to make. Now, from a traditional organizational perspective, it does also mean that you change the way you work, right? Change priorities, give people the ability to do that, and that in itself is where we as IT are our own biggest challenge, is to overcome that, right? Very often you will see the reluctance of accepting the new mantra and be like, no, we don't want to do this, we want to control it. In the end, we have no control. If you get on board on this train, there is no control. It's a lie, right? Yes, you can turn on features, yes, you can control how features look like, but in the end, is that really what we want, right? I don't think the answer is yes. Now, there is a middle ground, right? You can't just accept anything. I realize that. Heavily regulated environments, sometimes you have to say no, but do it in a more reactive way than in a proactive way. Now, all of this is great, right? I'm telling you, just go with the flow, roll down the hill, just be happy, start partying, and stop worrying about whatever is coming. But how on earth do you know what is coming your way? How do you keep up? This week is a great example of how keeping up is really hard. I tried. I failed miserably. I thought Twitter is my best friend. It's my worst enemy this week, because there's so much information being thrown at me that I'm like, I don't even know where to start. And that's the hardest part of what we do, right? Second hardest part. Changing your environment, your organization's mindset, that's a slow-moving ship, trying to make them understand that, hey, there is a mind shift here. It's not a technological shift, because we've been on cloud for many, many years. I mean, so one of the things that you will face is that users in general are pretty resilient. A lot of organizations are afraid of, well, what will my users think? They cannot change with the pace of the cloud. Well, I beg to differ. These devices, right? As soon as there is a new update, within the first hours of release, everyone's like, update, update, update. They can handle change. They've been using Gmail and Hotmail or Outlook for many years, where cloud has been that way. They use cloud services all the time. They go with it. So why wouldn't they be able to do that from a corporate perspective? Now, as an organization, right, you as IT that helps those users, how do you keep up to date, right? This is how I try and keep up to date, right? I'm not saying that I always do a pretty good job, but I really try hard. As I said, social media is your friend and your worst enemy at the same time. Follow the right people, follow the right hashtags, and you get the information delivered to you. Now, information being delivered to you also means stepping back and taking time to go through that information, right? I have a flow rule that automatically sends me an email if certain Microsoft blogs post certain announcements. I have about 16 of them sitting in the top of my inbox that I have to go through, and for some reason, Microsoft thought this week it's great to make these lengthy blog posts. It also means that I have to go back to my organization and to my customers and tell them, unfortunately, tomorrow I am unavailable because I need to go through that list. Which means that you have to plan for it, but that your organization also needs to give you time to go through that, because the avalanche of information coming down is really, really, really big. There are really great blogs out there that can help you, but more importantly, preview programs. A lot of organizations have a certain fear of stepping into preview programs, whether it's private or public previews. However, they are your number one way of understanding what Microsoft is cooking on and what is coming your way. First, targeted release in Office 365 is one of them. IT, or not the entire IT organization, but certain key individuals in your organizations should be on targeted release in Office 365. They should be on the insider build of Windows. They should be on the bleeding edge of what is coming in order to understand how that will change the future in your organization. And your organization at large might be on the semi-annual release, which means they will not get those features. They will not see these updates. They will not see what's coming until 6 months down the road. But that gives you a 6 months window to deal with those changes and get familiar with them, understand how you use them, and maybe even understand how that can increase the value to your end users rather than trying to stop those. Right? Another great resource is the Microsoft roadmap. Now, they are revamping their own roadmap to show when features are coming, but one website I like is the Roadmap Watch, because what it does, it sends a daily or a weekly digest into my mailbox about the features that Microsoft announced, where the status has changed from announced to rolling out to launched. So I can get a very quick overview of, hey, what's relevant for me this week without having to go through the entire roadmap myself. Right? But that's great to keep up to date. Right? Now look at Office 365. Look at this big, big thing. Right? Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, Stream, Flow, Planner, Staff Hub, Teams, Groups, and so forth and so on. This is not a one-man thing. This is a big thing that you have to understand. So how do you even start understanding this? One way of doing that is downloading all the sessions of Ignite and go through all of them. Seems like a good idea. I'll see you next year, right? Because then you'll take a lot of days off and tell your manager, I don't have any time because I've got all these sessions to go through. Not a pretty viable solution. So what I used to do, the Office 365 for IT Professionals book, and this is a shameless plug for the people that are actually writing the book. It's about 1,000 pages, so really good lecture right before bed. But it touches upon almost all aspects of Office 365. So if you're ramping up, if you're getting into Office 365, if you're just getting started, it's one of the better ways, I think, to get up to speed and to get that basis from where you can start building your experience and get new information through social media, through the roadmap patch, and all the other things. So at the end of the day, what is important is learn how to surf. Don't stop the wave. Don't go stand in front of the wave and just get everything over you, because you will fail miserably. But you will fail at some point. Things will break. And at that point, it is really important that you fail, fix fast, and move forward, or fail really fast and fix moving forward. Those are the things that you need to keep in mind. And if you do that, if you make that shift, you will see that you can actually thrive really quickly. You can be on that train, sit comfortably, enjoy the ride, and focus on delivering value to your organization rather than trying to figure out how to deal with all those changes. So with that being said, my 20 minutes are up. If you did enjoy this session, please do evaluate. And if you have any other questions, I'm here to answer them. Thanks again, and I hope to see you later.